Cool. IELTS General. We're looking at writing task 1, and we're going to, wait, I need to record this in my computer. Let me start again. Hello, and welcome to this live class. This one's on IELTS General. It's on IELTS Writing Task 1, the letter that you need to write. In this one, we're going to focus more on the structure. We're going to focus more on, well, we're going to focus on grammar. We're going to look at important verbs, because in English, there are 16 different verbs, right? 16. Crazy. But of the 16, there are really only 4 that are commonly used and important. Maybe you'll use some different verbs in your writing, but let's take a look at the grammar in the letter. First of all, we need to understand what verbs are, what they do, right? They're really important in English. Verbs change to show when something happens, happened, or will happen. Let's say, for example, you've got a dental appointment, or let's say you're writing a letter about a dental appointment. Let's say the dental appointment was in the past. You're writing to your dentist. So you could say, I visited the dentist. I visited. There's your past verb. Or let's say it's now or today. I am visiting the dentist. Or let's say it's in the future. I will visit the dentist. So verbs locate something in time and tell you when it is. And we change that verb for the past, present, or future. If we look at this verb here, a simple one like go, we can see all the different changes it makes. It goes from go, like I go to the dentist. I went to the dentist. I'll go to the dentist. I'm going to the dentist. I was going to the dentist. I will be going to the dentist. I've been to the dentist. I had been to the dentist. I will have been to the dentist. I have been going to the dentist. I had been going to the dentist. I used to go to the dentist, and there are in fact more which I didn't put on here because they are extremely rare. Why so many changes? Why so many verb changes? It's crazy. Well, what we want to do, our verbs tell us 2 things. They tell us about the time of past, present, or future, but they also have another alternative meaning, okay? And I want to get to that. Let's look at these important verbs. Here's your letter. What I want you to do is identify the verbs in this paragraph. I'm going to disappear. I want you to find the verbs first. Let's think about that. Please type into the chat what the verbs are. Good, Jagjit, well done. Nishant, excellent. Good, Danuka, Maria, well done. Good, Serhi, well done, you've got them. Cool, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's just read through this. So, I am a returning VIB guest at your esteemed hotel. I recently attended an international education conference and stayed in my regular suite. I am actually writing with regard to a lost credit card that I believe I left behind. There are some words in here that represent time, that indicate a time reference. What are they? Well, what have we got? We've got am, present, attended, past, stayed, past. This should actually be am writing, am writing. This is a 2-part verb. I'm writing, I believe, and I left. These are the verbs. Every sentence has a verb, by the way. So if you're inaccurate, if you're not accurate with your verbs, this is going to be very problematic and your scores will be low. Conversely, if you're accurate with your verbs, this is going to increase your scores. Again, I want you to identify the verbs in this paragraph. Think about the words that indicate time. Good, well done, Fangmi, Nishant, excellent. Good. There's some interesting ones here. There are some hidden verbs. So let's have a look. Last week I stayed in room 506. I used the safe for some valuable items. Which words are indicating time, including my credit card? When I checked out on Thursday, I realized that I left my credit card in the room safe. I'm sure it's still where I left it. It is a gold Amex. So if we have a closer look, we can see stayed, used, checked out, realized, left, I am, I'm, it's, is, left, and is. One more, and then we're going to dig a bit deeper into these verbs and look at the meaning of them and why we use them. So please identify the verbs in this paragraph. It's a bit trickier, this one. If you're watching on YouTube, well done, Sawat. Good, Jack Shin. Excellent. Good, Muna. Good, Nishant. All right, these are some. These are quite tricky. This paragraph's quite tricky. It's not simple verbs, that's for sure. I would like. So here's a verb, but this is an interesting addition to the verb to confirm that it is indeed still there, and would appreciate if you could post it to me at 16 Mary Street, Benny Long 5566. So would like, is, would appreciate, could post. So here we've got the verb, the base verb like, appreciate, or post, but we've added an additional modal verb, they're called, because we're requesting the hotel manager to do something. I would like it. This is a very polite thing to do. I would appreciate it. Could you please post it to me, for example? Right. For IELTS general training, there are 4 super important verbs. Basically, this is how it works in English. This verb here accounts for about 50% of usage. Although there are 16 different verbs, this one, the simple present, we use 50% of the time. This one, the simple past, we use about 25% of the time. And these two, we use about 5% of the time. The other percentage, whatever it is, it's very small. We use all the other different 12 verbs. So we really need to understand these verbs. And what we want to understand with regards to these verbs is their meaning. Because if I say I live in Melbourne, or I say I am living in Melbourne, or I lived in Melbourne, or I have lived in Melbourne, they all use the same verb live, and live, but they're in a different form, and this different form actually has its own meaning. Why 4 important verbs? Well, if I say I live, I'm referring to something factual and permanent. I live in Melbourne. It's a fact and it's permanent. Whereas if I say I'm living in Melbourne, it's got a sense of being temporary. It's got a sense of being, it's not going to last forever. It's temporary. I'm living in Melbourne. Where are you living? Or if I say I lived in Melbourne, it's got a sense of being a past fact, or I have lived in Melbourne is past, but it's currently relevant. So these have different meanings. You need to know which one to use and which one to use and which one to use and how to use it accurately. So let's talk about events, verbs that are factual and permanent, like this. I live in Melbourne. I work as an English teacher. I go to bed at 11 p.m. I enjoy my job. I ride a scooter. I'm a teacher. So I'm using these verbs, this simple present verb, live, work, go, enjoy, ride, am, because I'm conveying information that's factual and permanent. Just type into the chat one sentence, maybe one of these, you can use one of these, about something factual and permanent about you. What's factual and permanent about you? Type it into the chat, please. Nishant, I watch cricket. Good. Perfect. Yes, I watch cricket too. Fenghui, I'm a human. Yes. I travel by bus. Nishant, Australia versus India. Yes, I know. It's not looking good for the Aussies. I live in Delhi, Jagjit says. Good. Factual and permanent. Fine. Right, that's all right. That's all we got there. I want you to look at this paragraph and I want you to identify the factual permanent verbs, okay? The factual permanent, in other words, the simple present. See if you can do that. Just the factual permanent verbs. Good, Muna and Mohammed. Cool. All right, let's have a look at, let's look for factual and permanent verbs. I am a returning guest at your esteemed hotel. In fact, I am a VIP. I visit your hotel once a year. In fact, I have visited, that's a bit different, your hotel more than 10 times. I like the place. I hope to return in the near future. There you go. I didn't write the answers. So what are they? Am, visit. This one's different. I have visited your hotel. See the difference there? I visit your hotel. I have visited your hotel. It has a different secondary meaning. I like the place. There's the verb like, and I hope. So am, visit, like, and hope. Right. Let's think about the temporary verbs now. Okay. So these, we use this one. It's the same examples as before, but these verbs in this tense, am plus verbing, am verbing, or are verbing, etc., has a sense of being temporary, not permanent. So I could say, I'm living in Melbourne. If I say that to you, it means that I'm not a permanent local. It just means temporarily I'm living in Melbourne. I'm working as an English teacher. It's not something I want to do forever. I'm just doing it temporarily. I'm going to bed at 11 p.m. tonight. It's going to be a one-off thing. I'm enjoying my new job. Currently, maybe in the future, I will not enjoy it. I'm eating a banana temporarily. I'm paying off my credit card hopefully temporarily, not permanently. Cool. Let's just go straight to identify the temporary verbs in this paragraph. Good, Feng Hui. Good, Jagjit Mohammed. Well done. Good, Nikki. Good, good, good. Well done. Let's have a look. So, I have been living in Melbourne. This is a bit different. This isn't a temporary one. I have been living in Melbourne for 15 years. I am working as an electrician. I'm also doing some part-time work as a carpenter. I enjoy the work. So we've got a range of verb tenses here. We've got 3 different verb tenses here. And I tell you what, the IELTS examiners love a different range of verb tenses. Let's have a look. So, have been living is not the one we're after. We're looking for temporary. I am working as an electrician temporarily. I'm also doing some part-time work as a carpenter temporarily. I enjoy, this is permanent. Permanent, I enjoy the work. What's the difference between do and is doing? For example, what's the difference between I work and I am working? What's the difference between I live and I am living? What's the difference between I study and I am studying? Because this is important to understand if you want to get a high score in IELTS writing. I live in Melbourne permanently. I'm living in Melbourne temporarily. Where do you live? Is it permanent or temporary? Please type it into the chat and use whichever verb you need to use depending on whether you're there permanently or there temporarily. Where do you live? Where do you live? Where do you live? Feng Hui, where do you live? No, tell me where you're living. Say I live in Delhi, or good, yes, Muna, I live in Karachi permanently. Nikki, I live in Sydney, so it's a permanent thing. Nishant, I am living in Australia, so it's a temporary thing. Jagjit, I live in Delhi. Danuka, I live in Colombo permanently. Serhi, I live in Ukraine. I'm living in Kiev. Good, so you've got 2. I live in Ukraine, but temporarily living in Kiev. Feng Hui, I live in China. Cool, fine. That's the difference there, and it's an important difference. Think about it. At the end, what we're going to do is write a practice letter, and I want you to think carefully about your verbs. Nishant says, I live on Mars. That's fine. I hope it's not too hot this time of year. Past facts. Let's think about past facts. Past facts. This is another one. This is incredibly common, this verb, right? I lived in Melbourne. Past fact. I worked as an English teacher. Past fact. I went to bed at 11 p.m. last night. Past fact. I enjoyed my job. I ate a banana. I paid off my credit card. Past facts. Identify the past facts in this paragraph, I should say. Good, Jagjit, good. Nishant, yes. Enjoy? I don't know if enjoy is past fact. It's more like a permanent thing. Left and leave. All right, let's take a look. All right, so we're looking for past facts. I visited your hotel in June. Sounds pretty good. It was excellent. I mean, this is an opinion, but it still can be considered a past fact. I really enjoy staying there. Past fact, I enjoy staying at your hotel. Past fact, no. However, this time I left from leave. I left my wallet in my room. Definitely something to do with the past there. Can you please look for it for me? So the answers are visited, was, and left. Enjoy is a permanent verb. And look, well, this is a request for help. It's a little bit different. So if you had visited, was, and left, well done. They are the past facts. Here's where it gets tricky. I think those first three that I showed you are quite straightforward. But then we get into this one, and this one is very problematic. I see a lot of problems in people's writing with this verb. And it's used 5% of the time in English, so it's important. It's not as important as the other verbs, but it's important enough that you want to get it correct every time. So what does it mean? Well, it means currently relevant. I have lived in Melbourne. This is where it gets weird because it's talking about the past. I have lived in Melbourne in the past, but I'm pulling that past experience into the present because it's currently relevant to talk about it. For example, you can imagine people talking about Australia, for example. Let's say you're in Argentina and you're sitting at a table and they're talking about Australia, and you can say, oh, I've lived in Melbourne. I have lived in Melbourne. You're pulling a past experience into the present because it's currently relevant. Or let's say you're sitting around a table and people are talking about teaching English, and you can say, oh, I've worked as an English teacher. I'm pulling a past experience into the present because it's currently relevant. Or if people are talking about eating bananas, maybe you're sitting around with a group of monkeys and you can say, oh, I've eaten a banana. I know what bananas taste like because it's currently relevant. Or you can tell your parents, I've paid off my credit card, mum and dad. I'm very happy. I'm a very proud young man. Just joking. Cool. Please identify the currently relevant verbs in this paragraph. Good, Muna. Well done. Good, Waleed. Good, Nikki. Good, Jagjit. Yes. Waleed, check that one. I'm not sure if that's currently relevant. It looks more like a past fact to me. Right, let's have a look. Okay, so we're looking for currently relevant verbs. Verbs that happened but now are important or relevant. Although I have been to your hotel several times, this time I did not enjoy myself. Past fact maybe. There were mosquitoes in the room. I was bitten several times. I think I may have contracted malaria. Right, maybe you don't want to write your letters like this. This one's a bit crazy. Let's have a look. So have been. I have been to your hotel several times. Currently relevant. It's pulling something from the past, a past experience, into the present because it's currently relevant. Although I have been to your hotel several times, this time I did not enjoy. So we've got a negative for did not enjoy. We've got a negative past fact. It's a past fact, but this time you did not enjoy it. There were mosquitoes in the room, past fact. I was bitten. This is a past fact, but it's passive. I have contracted malaria. Right, so the mosquito bit you, you contracted malaria, you're pulling that experience into the present moment because it's currently relevant. So this begs an interesting question, and that question is, what's the difference between did, for example, I ate a banana, and I have eaten a banana? What's the difference between I've been to China and I went to China? What's the difference between I visited the dentist and I have visited the dentist? Well, it depends on what you're trying to say, right? Because if I say I lived in Melbourne, I'm talking about a past fact. But if I say I have lived in Melbourne, I'm pulling my experience into the present as a currently relevant thing. And the other thing is this: when you use a past fact, you use a specific time. For example, I lived in Melbourne in 2014, specific time. With this verb here, you cannot use a specific time. I have lived in Melbourne. You cannot say, I have lived in Melbourne in 2014. It just sounds wrong. Because you're talking about a past fact, you want to use a specific time, right? So there's a bit of a difference. I ate a banana 2 hours ago. I've eaten a banana. I paid off my credit card last week. I have paid off my credit card. There's a difference. One refers to a specific time and it's a past fact. The other's experiential. It's talking about an experience and you're pulling that past thing into the present to talk about it because it's currently relevant. It's a tricky thing and it requires practice. Let's do a task. Now that we understand these verbs, let's look at this writing task 1 prompt. You recently returned home from the airport and realized that you are missing a bag. You believe you left it in the waiting room. Write a letter to the manager of the airport, lost and found. Identify who you are. Describe the bag and its contents. Describe what you want the manager to do and write at least 150 words. Let's make this a bit quicker. I don't want you to write 150 words. What I want you to do is just write these 3 paragraphs. Okay? Don't worry about the Dear John or the whatever it is. I just want you to write a paragraph, identify who you are, 2 or 3 sentences. I want you to describe the bag and its contents, 2 or 3 sentences. And I want you to describe what you want the manager to do, 2 or 3 sentences. That's it. Let's just focus on this part of the letter. I'll give you 10 minutes to write 2 or 3 sentences for each of these dot points. Think about your verbs. Choose your verbs wisely. Yes, Ranjani, you can say, I have lived in the United States for 8 years because it's a duration of time. If you're on YouTube, please type your answers into the chat. And also don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you would be so kind. Good, Nikki, well done. Good, Jagjit. I missed or I lost? So Muna, I have traveled in your airline today. So you're talking about a specific time. So you're going to not use have traveled. You'll use I traveled on your airline today because you used a specific time, right? Past fact, past fact. Good, Jagjit. We just said the bag was black. Or is. Let's put it into present. Permanent. Let's talk about the bag in the present. The bag is black. It weighs 16 kilos. It looks expensive. Good, Ranjani. Very nice use of verbs there. I travelled from New York to London on the 23rd of February. Past fact. Good, Jagjit. It is an American Tourister bag. Good, Jagjit. It has expensive things inside it. What like, Jagjit? Good, Mohammed. I visited Dubai International Airport last Friday. Past fact. My flight number was blah, blah, blah. Past fact. It was a return ticket. I believe I lost the bag in the same lounge. Good. I left my bag at the airport mistakenly last week. Past fact. Good. Kindly let me know if you find my bag. Good, Nikki. Well done. Yes, good detail. My bag is a Fendi large tote bag. It is black in color, and the unique thing about the bag is that it has a long red strap. Permanent, factual. The contents of my bag are my iPod, iPad, iPhone, clearly an Apple fan, documents, and a mini wallet with my credit cards inside. Good, Nikki Bammy. Excellent. Just remember, I'm not sure if you're on your phone, but make sure you use correct punctuation, capital letters, etc. One more minute. Pop in your answer. Good, Nikki, well done. Good future verbs. I will appreciate it if you could send someone to check the waiting room as described. My number is. Right. Good use of verbs, well done. Ranjani, the laptop bag is Royal Polo in make. It has my name, Paul Smith, engraved in a metal bar at the center. It mainly contains some critical official documents which I would like to get back at the earliest. Good, interesting little story. Well done. Few more minutes to get your final paragraph in. Describe what you want the manager to do. You might have to use future verb or modal verbs, could, would, etc. Mohammed, I believe that you would find my bag in the business lounge. Good, that's fine. Once you find my bag, please send it to me in Riyadh. My address is good. Well done. All right, that's probably enough of that. I just wanted you to get a sense of why we use different verbs because they convey different meanings, and it's important. In a single paragraph, you might have 3 or even 4 different verb tenses. You don't have to. You can just have a paragraph with all past tense, past facts. That's fine. But sometimes it's impossible to say what you want with the one verb, so you may have to, in fact, use several different verbs. So here's an example of what I wrote. It's not very good. I did it very quickly. Let me disappear and show you. So, dear sir, madam, I'm writing to let you know that I have left, currently relevant, it happened in the past, currently relevant. I have left my bag in the waiting room of the airport. No specific time given. If I gave a specific time, like last Friday, this verb would have to change. And I would have to say, I left my bag in the waiting room of the airport on Friday. But because I have no specific time, I'm using this one and I'm talking to them about a currently relevant experience. I have left my bag in the waiting room, blah, blah, blah. I was in a hurry and I accidentally forgot it. Past fact, past fact. The bag is a black and tan Gucci bag with a green star. Permanent, factual, present. It is worth $2,000. My mistake there. Let me cross that out. It is worth $2,000. I am really worried about it. Could you please return it to me? This is just a phrase. Could you please? Plus verb. Could you please get me a drink? Could you please return my bag? You need to memorize phrases like this. I am staying at a backpackers in the city with some friends. Is this permanent? I am staying at a backpackers in the city with some friends. Or is this a temporary thing because I'm using this verb? Because if I said I stay at a backpackers in the city, that would convey a sense of being permanent. Because I'm using this verb, I'm staying at a backpackers in the city with some friends, possibly I'm just doing it for 1 or 2 nights. It's temporary. Cool. So I just wanted to show you in this lesson verbs because, well, they're extremely complex, they're confusing, but unfortunately, they're also extremely important. And so that's not the end of them. There are more. There are others. But the ones I just showed you today are the 4 important ones that you need to be aware of. Right, let's just go to Q&A. And I hope I've raised your awareness of verbs. If you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat, whether it be about verbs or anything else. Good. So Sawat says, I have wrote the whole letter. What about I have written the whole letter? Because when you use that currently relevant verb, the second part needs to be like written, eaten, bitten, said. It's different than just the simple past tense. Any questions? Please put them into the chat. Nishant Sharma. Do you play cricket for India, by the way? I think you're a bowler from India. The timetable will change for next week. If you're watching this on YouTube, sign up to the webinar below. And for you guys who need to do it on Zoom, if you're a free member, we will send you, oh, that's Ishant Sharma, gotcha. We will send you an invitation to sign up for the new timetable, okay? Muna, sir, if we are writing a letter to the neighbor, so can we write in the last your neighborhood? It depends. That's not about verbs. Fenghui, Jay, in the speaking test, if the examiner asks me, where do you live? What should be the correct answer? Well, it depends, Fenghui. Do you permanently live somewhere? In which case you could say, I live in China. Or are you temporarily living somewhere? In which case you say, I am living in China. I'm currently living in China. Temporary. I live in China. I'm a local and it's permanent, right? So yes, the skills you just learned about verbs also are used in your speaking test. By the way, if we have an excellent method for IELTS speaking. We've developed this really cool method which makes it so simple. But anyway, I'll leave that up to you. Cool. All right, I might leave it there because I've been teaching all day. I am exhausted. Thanks very much for coming. And Muna, I'm not sure about your question there. Thanks very much for coming. I hope that was helpful. Yes, be on the lookout for our emails because I want you to come to our next webinar series, whether you've passed the IELTS or not. If you're a free member, upgrade your account. If you're not a member, become a free member. I'll chat to you guys soon, okay? Bye.